Kamario Taylor, freshman quarterback, Mississippi State. His talent is through the roof. This video made possible by the folks at Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Farm Bureau Insurance, go with the home team. It's not overstating it. He almost doesn't have a ceiling. The things that God has blessed him with that he didn't bless everybody with. Kid has a chance to be really, really special. And this was his first year in college, 1 year removed from high school, and he started to show that a little bit. Now, let me stop right here in this video. If you want to skip any context and any stats that I'm about to give you to back this up in a little story, just go ahead and jump to this and go right to the film study. Skip all the talk, get right into the plays. There's your mark. All the way back in the preseason at practice, you could already see that Jeff Levy and the offensive staff at Mississippi State were getting ready to use Kamario Taylor as a true freshman in certain spots, and Blake Shapen the starter, but they were going to use Kamario in certain, high leverage spots, short yardage, goal line, stuff like that, 3rd and short, 4th and short, certain packages, and then goal line stuff. Obvious reasons, because he's really tall. He is really a plus runner, like not just good runner, okay, great athletic ability. And he's got lightning in his right arm. I'm telling you, he does not throw it like a typical kid out of high school. It's special. Now, that doesn't mean that everything's a completion. I mean, you miss throws when you're a freshman. I'm just talking about the arm talent. So no wonder they want to use him, and they did. Okay, and as the year went on, used him more. You got into the last month of the season in November and used him a little more and a little more. He got more series, began to get, I think it was maybe the Arkansas game where he began to get some whole series, produce touchdowns. And in that last month, we all began to see, he just scores. They just score points. It doesn't even always look like, hey, the drive's coming together. It doesn't always look like everything's just great. The next thing you know, you look up and the ball's in the end zone. And here's what I think is kind of an Easter egg in this video. And I posted this on social media, prior to making this video. As the analyst on the radio broadcast for State, I see all the games. And, you kind of become intimate with it. And so I looked this up, and sure enough, the stats backed up what I thought I saw when Kamario started in the Egg Bowl, played the whole game versus, the other games. Against Ole Miss, State had less plays where they were against the chains, meaning 11 yards or more to gain a first down. So I'm not talking about 2nd and 10, but I'm talking about 2nd and 11, 2nd and 15, 3rd and 20, all those kinds of things. The against the chains plays, State had less of those against Ole Miss than they did anybody else in the last 2 months of the season. The style of offense you play with an athlete and a player like Kamario forces a defense to be a little more honest, particularly in certain down and distance situations, and you pair that with his ability to break a pocket, a broken down play, and go, in some cases, score on a broken down play. It meant that you didn't have to, as an offense, run as many plays in this particular game where you were against the chains. 2nd and 15, 3rd down and 20, like I said. You had less of that, and that's why it kind of looked and felt better. Now, you didn't win the game, but it was a glimpse of the future with a quarterback that, in my opinion, I don't recall seeing anybody come along in a maroon and white uniform with the potential that he has long-term. He's special. We're going to look at some throws and some runs here from Taylor in the Egg Bowl. And this is a slant where they're coming off the goal line early. This wound up being a 97-yard touchdown drive to start the game, to tie it up, pull it, throw it. There's a lot of good things right there. Placement of the ball, decision, I don't know, but placement of the ball. He did a really good thing to get the route open. I think that is sort of something I don't know if you teach it. You could probably teach it, and some don't always get it. But we're going to come back and look. But when he flips to throw, it's intentional. he puts his shoulders and his eyes outside so as to hold or move that safety out of the throwing lane where we're going right there. And again, this is a pretty veteran deal. Now, you go back to the play. What's the read right here? I don't know. I don't know if this is a called throw or if there's a read. You know, I would think if there's a read built in, you got 2 tight ends. Okay, so 5 linemen, tight end, tight end. So that's 7, right? So you got 7 blockers, 6 in the box. And yeah, you know, a safety that could get involved. This is a 6-man box against a 7-man block scheme. And so if you give it, I don't know what the call is, but if it's a read, I would think the read might be to the give because, you know, you're comboing here up to a linebacker, supposedly, and you're kicking out with that extra blocker tight end, and so you ought to have numbers to pop this thing. The problem is when you look inside, you don't get the blocks. So one, there's going to be leak on the backside, and then here tight end doesn't make the block, so you're beat at 2 spots up front, even though that should be blocked. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is long after the fake. I realize that, but what you're getting is 2 that are going to blow this up that are both accounted for, just not getting blocked. So I guess what I'm saying is, I would think if this is an RPO read with what you're doing here, I would think maybe it's supposed to be a give, but maybe there's another key. I don't know. At any rate, he pulls it to throw. So let's look at that. You look at where he puts his eyes. I'm not sure if it's, you know, like again, if it's a read, if you're reading there, it doesn't look like his eyes are all the way up here on the read, but something tells him to pull it, and it may just be a straight play action pass call. I don't know. Pull it call. But anyway, he pulls it. We're going to throw. So now it's slant. And look what he does right here. Like as soon as you pull this ball, here's what we're doing. You know, we're running slant. I'm assuming that's, you know, just a called slant. Maybe it's a read for the receiver. I don't know that. But you got a safety inside just sitting here in the throwing lane. And if he stays here and is not moved, it's going to take a little while of holding the ball in the end zone for him to get behind this to give you a window. And when you look at it and it takes that long, that window will close pretty quickly. So look at what he does. Watch his shoulders right here. Okay, so just coming off the fake. Now I'll play it slowly. Look what he does. Outside. See that? It's like I know he's going here. I think he knows that. But this is an intentional. I flip my hips. I put my eyes all the way out here. And what's the purpose of that? It's this guy. You know, I want to get him out of my throwing lane. I think that's what he's doing. And it works, okay? So right now you see him flip his hips and look outside. Watch the action right here of the safety sitting in the throwing lane. He looks outside. See that? And he's kind of turning underneath it. And now I've got my window to throw behind him. And it's an accurate throw. That's the big thing. So there's 2 things. So watch him dip his shoulder. See that? Turn, outside. I dip that shoulder, little fake. He's frozen, stepping outside. And now I can flip and put it on him right off his shoulder. And then timing. This is the other thing I think I'll see in some of these clips that we'll see together. The timing is really good from him in the pass game. On a lot of these throws. Like, it's now. You see this? We're not waiting to see him open. It's great anticipation. It's now. I mean, the ball's in the window as soon as he comes open. That's really good. Okay, still that first drive. He's got back to his left. You're going to tight end motion across the formation, snap it, and reading. Am I giving to the back, you know, to follow it outside here? Or am I going to keep and run it up in here play side? And you get a keep. Won't spend a ton of time on this play, but you get a keep, run it up in there, get a first down. You know, you see, again, a big, strong kid, 6'5", 200 plus, still a true freshman, but physical enough, he falls forward on a bunch of the runs. The play, all right, so it's one of these where you can run these kinds of things a lot with this kind of athlete back here. You can't do it with everybody. Okay, motion and across, and we're going to see you get a run across with him, so it's man-to-man on that tight end. It is not necessarily a man-to-man coverage everywhere else, just a combo, but they are matching up with that tight end for whatever reason. And his read is going to be the in man line of scrimmage over here on the backside. All right, so watch the mesh of the quarterback and back. See his eyes? All right, so Taylor's reading him. And I'm assuming if he runs down inside or follows those pullers or tries to cheat inside, you're probably going to give, and you're going to have a lead blocker around the edge with the back, right? And that's going to be the play. But instead, he hangs right here. You know, I'm reading it. I see it. And so with him hanging there, I'm just going to pull it. Now he pulls it, and you're following pullers on the back. So it's a GT kind of action just with the quarterback following this as opposed to like a counter giving it to the back. GT meaning right guard, right tackle. They are your pullers around here and your lead back here in case you get that keep. So there they go, and they block it. So you're one up here, you're out here, and leading in the hole here. You can see the hole kind of develop. Squeeze through there, 3-on-3. Get a first down. Okay, come back, very next play. Little delayed release tight end. He's open in the middle of the field. And this is actually something, similar things where you get play action, little delay release from tight end, got him open a bunch during the ball game. Very next play, throw a strike in the middle, turns into a big play. Not just a first down, but a field flipper, and you're in field goal range. And so again, after he's made a run for a first down, you come back, same formation we saw coming off the goal line where you have, hip tight ends right here, and just two out wide. Defensively, what he's seeing when he lines up here, the field's really balanced. You're kind of in the middle of the field, and so you get, it's not a man-to-man bump corner, no, but it's like an underneath look with, these three on top of it. And what they're doing is playing they give you a cover two look, like it's going to be two deep safeties there with a robber in the middle. And that's kind of what he is a robber right here in the middle. It's just they're actually going to flip it and still a zone look, but he'll run down and be an underneath. He'll drop and be a deep defender. So you're still going to have two deep in one shape, form, or fashion, but with a robber in the middle of the field, if that makes sense. A lot of words to say. It's just it's a two deep zone coverage. Okay, you can see you got to play action in here. There is no run call because you don't have any run option going on with the blocking. This is straight pass blocking. We're just giving it a run fake. It looks just like the previous play where, messing with the back, looking to one side, and then I know I'm going to set up in the pocket off play action and read it. And what you like about this is the position of the football. That's what you really like. What I will say also is defenses behave differently, particularly at that linebacker position, when you have a quarterback that is always a threat to go and beat you, not just make yards, but I'm talking about go hit his head on a goalpost type of runner. It is always a different look than from linebackers. And so after the fake, his responsibility is one edge, he's going to jump, and his responsibility is, I think, if back releases, I'm going to jump that. Well, then you get the fake, back's there, what's happening? I'm going to the side of the back, but look how you're playing it on the edge. It's not all out, just pin your ears back and go. You got to really think about it. You got to be in a good position because he may take off, and if you're off balance, he beats you. But you get a type of a zone coverage there, and what clears the middle of the field, they lined up with those three. One's running down to be underneath, trying to flip it with, the deep defender being the corner who's running off. You can see the shadow of the robber right here, but, you beat him to the inside because the linebacker vacates the middle of the field. He's taking the back right there, late blitz. And a strike. Again, this is one of those where the coverage jumps on it pretty good. If it's on his back shoulder, you're going to get it batted away or caught and tackled. But because you stick it on that outside hip, he catches it and turns it up for a big play. It's a good look. You can see what he sees right here. So there's the fake, eyes away, holds everybody kind of where they are. there you see how they rotated it defensively. He became sort of a deep half, pushing things into the middle. He's a deep half, and it's zone underneath. Plenty of time, good protection right here. And throw it right at the official. Make him duck. Good throw. Maybe just a little behind. You could stand it to be another foot in front, probably. The other thing, you're not getting hit right here by this defender, but he is free to you. And I notice, we'll see throughout, this is another really good sign for a young quarterback. These guys, they don't really affect him. He does not get happy feet, and the threat of that pressure in this game really didn't bother him that much. Okay, I thought this was an example of really, processing everything really quickly, reading coverage, the whole field. Look, he's reading into the boundary, flips his head in the middle, goes all the way back to the other side, and because it's a good, strong, quick, accurate throw, we can run after the catch and make a first down. And I feel like, too, sometimes you watch film of, college defenses these days, and you can see that teams do a lot, do disguise what they're doing, what they're actually doing, and their responsibilities a lot better than they used to. It's harder to tell sometimes. Because pre-snap, State is 2-by-2, 4 receivers, ball on the right hash. So, this being the boundary side to your right. And defensively, you could go, well, all right, here's a football, right hash. It's too deep. See, too deep safeties, splitting the hash where the ball is. And so he's going to be one half field safety. He's going to be another half field safety. Maybe that's it. You go, well, maybe not, though, because on the snap, he could easily be a third deep, and he could drop and be a third deep. And then you got a cover 3 look, zone underneath, right? And if you're reading the middle of the field, it can be a big difference what that guy does. So they disguise it pretty well, because I think what it looks like to me is when you get the motion, now you got trips to the field and just a tight end into the boundary. What it looks like to me is it's still really like a cover 2, because what I think is this is not a deep safety. I think he's that robber in the middle. I don't think he's worried about deep third. I think he's initially, I'm going to play down in here and find the football somewhere and make a play on it. So really it's like I think he's got a deep half responsibility. He's got a deep half responsibility. He's robbing the middle, and everybody else is zone underneath. Okay, maybe that's what it is, because you motion away from the boundary, and because of that, he's thinking, and maybe initially the read is, okay, if this is cover 3, if they rotate it and he runs out of there like they did before, then I'm going to read into the boundary because I got one here and one here, and I can high-low. So high-low and read it. But they don't rotate any coverage. They stay where they are, and it's all covered. See, initially he's looking at tight end into the boundary that we motioned away from, but that's getting jumped from the inside. You could swing it out here, but that's covered here. You got one-on-one with the back. You could do that. What he does is he sees coverage, safety stay, linebackers dropping, I'm going to the other side. So now he's reading back to the tight end. So to simplify, it's like eyes are here, okay, no. Back to the middle, now look at his eyes. Eyes are here, no, covered on the inside. So now flip it all the way to the backside. And once you make the decision, this is what I was talking about, he's actually processing quickly enough where he doesn't wait. It's like once he flips his head, if you look up top, once Brennan Thompson, who's just off the screen right here, shows his number, this is how quickly he's processing. Once he shows his number, the ball's to him. Look at that. And it's quickly and accurate and strong enough that now I can catch and make the first down open field, which you want that every time for your receiver. I thought this was a good example of processing really quickly. You're thinking it's some sort of zone. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 deep. I don't know how many we're going to have underneath, if they rush all these 4, which they are. Okay, so he's reading into the boundary. Boom, covered, back to the tight end, covered, now outside. He's read it, from one sideline to the other, and you make a first down. That's really high-level stuff for a kid straight out of high school. And so then you get speed motion across, fake the sweep, fake it, and touchdown run out the backside into the boundary right here. And there goes motion. You're against a 6-man box. You get a lead by the tight end and just outrun them to the end zone. Look at this. There's a couple things that are really cool about this to me. One is, all right, 2nd and 8, long drive going here. It started on your own 3, and he's thrown several, completed several big throws throughout the drive. You get a 2nd and 8, and so now it's a 3-down lineman look with 3 stand-up linebackers in this, nickel stuff here for Ole Miss. So they go with 3 down, and that's still even with 2 tight ends in the game and both shaded to the wide or lined up to the wide side of the field, one on the line, one off, right? So it's like, respect. We're going to do something different coverage-wise and play the run with 3 down linemen. So then you get motion, and this is exactly what you want when you call. This is a called quarterback, power type of play because you're pulling tight end and backside guard to lead after this play fake. We want him, like a quarterback run. That's what we want. So motion, and when you motion speed sweep to the field and fake it, nice, good fake action right there, you get exactly what you want, which is all 3 of the linebackers at the next level are thinking wide side. We got one who's lined up out, one who's outside, and one who's, he's coming over center, but there's nobody filtering to the backside. This is exactly what you want when you get this call. So then you get the fake. And there's a lot of urgency here from their defense. You're not going to block the end man on the backside, which happened to be the linebacker standing there. Tight end's going to release. But what you get, tight end leading, backside guard leading, and it's just green grass over here. It's going to be a next level play for their defense. But one thing's got to happen because of their urgency. Watch Bothwell, the back right here. Keep your eyes on him. Boom. If he doesn't pick this up, this is, backside linebacker. So this player right here, A gap with the speed sweep fake. And Bothwell again, if he doesn't pick this up, it's a blown up play. He does more than pick it up. Boom. I'm talking about really sticks him. So now you're off and running. The guard who pulled from the backside pinned the edge. You need a block from your tight end right here. And then we're going to try to out-athlete here. Now, you get helped because they trip each other. Those 2 Ole Miss defenders are in a pretty good spot to one of them try to get over there and maybe make a play, at least not give up a touchdown. But they get trip over each other's feet, and we outrun them to the end zone. Okay, this is an example of a play where, it just shows some other things about kind of where he was at the end of the year in terms of developing at the position. We can't see the whole field and the routes and the entire play. We can see some of it. But delay release tight end, dump it down to him versus a free blitzer standing there, throw a strike. And this is really what I'm talking about. I guess we can actually see everything except the one receiver on the outside of the left. You just can't see the whole coverage and how the play began. But, pre-snap, so you have a back, which is actually a receiver here, Evans, a tight end on the line, and a back to your right. So it's kind of like having 3 in the backfield with you. It's just one tight end's on the line of scrimmage. So you only have 2 other skill players, one into the boundary sideline and one out here on the far. And so defensively, this is a 4-man front. Regardless of personnel, you're going to treat that with that alignment as a 4-man front. And you're probably going to treat it like 2 more in the box, like a 6-man box. It's really 5, but maybe 6 here. Even though he's close, you're going to treat it like that with the chance that he gets involved really quickly. And I don't know what the call is, specifically. It's definitely straight pass. And, they're slanting their front into the boundary right here. They did a lot of movement throughout the ball game. So State is sliding into the boundary to protect this, but it looks really intentional to me that the tight end is delaying, helping with the tackle, and then if you get nothing here off the edge, then you're going to release underneath. What happens is Evans is releasing too, and this guy fires off the edge, and there's nobody to account for him. For whatever reason, you're sliding it back this way. Tight end's helping and delaying, so there's nobody to account for this if he fires off the edge, which is what you get. So watch what he does. Free. Now, here's my question to everybody that's always watch games and boo players and complain about what they do. What would you do? What are you going to do if this is you holding the ball right here on the 18 and this guy's about to come hit you? He's free. There is no blocker. You can clearly see I'm in his sights. I'm about to get it. What are you going to do? Are you going to stand here calmly, wait for your tight end to finish that delay and turn his head, treat it like a hot route versus a drop-in zone coverage, and just step right into it? A guy running full speed, just step right into it. Not have your mechanics even affected at all. He's jumping at you, just step right into it, throw a total strike, and go get a first down. That is impressive to me on a lot of levels. All right, here's another one of those. What would you do, okay, where you're going to motion across to a 3-receiver side. It's going to be a 5-man route and, 3 here, and everybody gets covered on 3rd and 6. Pretty decent rush, but everybody gets covered. What you going to do? Motion away. It's all covered underneath, nowhere to go. What are you going to do, and then how quickly are you going to do it? Here, escape, go make a first down. And it's late in the game. The defense has changed a little bit for Ole Miss because they got such a big lead. So it's only a 3-man rush with a big twist. They did a lot of stunts and dropping zone underneath, and that's part of the reason it gets covered. But how quickly do you process that? So cover 2, a little more classic zone underneath, like say just rushing 3 with a twist that's built into it, dropping that backside end into coverage. And there's one go ball up here, I'm not sure which one, underneath here. Tight end trying to stick it on the first down with a swing underneath and give you a high-low. And by the time you get to the apex of the drop, right there, a couple of things are happening. Covered out here, one on top, covered with a safety on top, covered inside, covered. Every read, there's nothing there. And this is starting to happen just with a 3-man rush. This is starting to happen. So it's like, what do you do? Do you stand in there? Do you wait? Do you extend the play? What? Go. And good job by the tight end to recognize what's happening right there and give you a block too. But go make a first down. Processing it quickly even when there's nobody to throw the ball to. And the ability to go make something happen. Chance to throw a touchdown. Get Thompson against the safety up the seam there. Play action, 3-man rush, protect it, throw it, and the safety did a really nice job running it down at the end, but it's a little bit of an underthrow, so ball's got to come out sooner if that's your spot. Otherwise, you got to throw it to the back of the end zone. Tight end into the boundary, ball on the left hash here, and then to the boundary, it's sort of levels. So this is your deep level. This is your intermediate stick or stop, and then a little out. So we go, underneath, intermediate, deep, and you're reading it against the zone coverage. And it's effectively a cover 2 call for them versus this 3-receiver side. What you do get is, the combination of this route is these two jump it. It's just they leave the underneath on 1st and 10. They wind up covering the deal, and it singles up Thompson on the safety. You got to have protection in order to make it happen. Again, late in the game, 1st and 10. They're only rushing 3 with a big twist, so 5 is able to protect for the most part. However, you are probably getting away with a hold right here. So even though it's a 3-man rush, I don't think they called that. I don't think, but it is a hold. You get away with it. But you got to let it go. So little inside dip, freeze the safety's steps just for a sec. So again, here's that. Now this is not the safety. The one that you're running against is off the screen. But little inside dip, and then it's a matter of when do you let it go and where. So one little hesitation, like if right now, if I go plant and, if I get to my back step and boom, ball comes out now, but there's one extra hop and pat, plenty of arm strength. And it's an accurate throw as to, in terms of the width of the field. It's just vertically, I'm causing the receiver to slow down. If you watch it in real time, like I beat him right here, he's beat, and with this particular player, It's all about the throw because there's nobody, if the ball's out in front enough, there's nobody that's going to actually run him down. Here, though, the throw holds him up. See him? He's got to stop and wait on it. Having to stop and wait on the ball at the goal line is what allows the DB to catch up and get his hand on it. If the ball is thrown to, 5 yards deep, then most likely he's going to outrun him and run under it for a touchdown right there. But the underthrow made the defense stop, and so DB is able to catch up to it. And you can see the route concept up there. It's 4 over 3, 4 defenders over 3, but because of the zone responsibilities, he's sort of dead. He's underneath, letting him go to the safety. And then it's 2 over 2 here, and then a 1-on-1 deal here. And again, it's not the arm strength, it's the timing of the throw. The ball's got to be out now. Let it go. If I let it go now and put it 5 yards deep, he runs it down. It's a little late letting it go, and I only put it to the goal line. So now that he's beat, he's got to start slowing down to wait on the football. And that's what allows the DB to catch up. All right, another example, this time with motion back into the formation, delayed release by the tight end against a little bit of pressure in zone, and so he's open. He's left open. You bring one off the edge, actually rushing 5, 4 or 5. I'll have to go back and look. And throw it to the tight end while you're getting hit. Accurate throw, and you make the first down. Bring him 5. 3 down and 2 linebackers coming after him. And what is, again, it's a cover 2 responsibility thing. When I say cover 2, that means, 2 deep halves of the field, 1, 2, and who's responsible for it. But it's here, and they're dropping a corner here. Those are your 2 deep defenders. And what I like about that kind of stuff is it's like defensive coaches going, why would I have somebody on hashes doing deep halves when there's no receiver to cover? Let's have something designed where we are more efficient with our coverage, and we're only going to drop people on top of where receivers actually are. It makes a lot of sense. But anyway, back to what he's seeing. They're dropping 1 off the line. Again, it's going to be 5-man protect. Everybody's going out. So you got 5 offensive linemen protecting. You're going to drop 1 off the line. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 on 5. So you have plenty to protect. So 1 shouldn't come free, but you're slanting everybody here. Okay. 1 off the edge to tie that up, which is the back going outside to help because you delay releasing the tight end right here. And then the 5th is this linebacker. So he's effectively like a part of it's kind of like a twist coming over a gap or 2, and nobody passes it off. Nobody gets there. So, you got to have some way. If you've got, I say 5-man protect, with the back it's 6. If you've got 6-man protection versus a 5-man rush, you got to have some way to pick them all up, right? They can't get you right here, but they do. They come free. And again, it's just another example to me of a play in this game where threat of getting hit, feeling it coming, it doesn't affect him. It's wide open, step right into a blitzing linebacker or rushing linebacker, deliver a strike. It's a big boy play. And this play is more about just sort of who he is. I talked about that God-given ability. Who he is more so than kind of what the route is. Rushing 5, including linebacker. You get a miss by here by the guard, and then you get a stand-up end who delays and comes all the way around the formation like certainly a 2-gap, maybe even a 3-gap twist coming all the way back around the formation as well to blow the play up. So this is a blown-up protection. Again, 3rd and 10, okay? You've got essentially 6 men in the protection because the back is part of it checking here to see if he's needed. If he doesn't see that he's needed, he's out the backside. Well, they don't bring 6. They're only bringing 5. But you essentially have 6-man protect, and still it's jailbreak. So this should never happen. And the first thing that happens is right here, linebacker on offensive guard, watch the spin move. Swoop, right around him.
just, right around him. And then after that starts collapsing you, blowing your play up, you're dropping deep anyway, and then you come off the edge with some urgency. Tackle's not doing a bad thing here. He gets this wide outside rush, so he's just sending him to the backside of everything, assuming it's blocked up here. You can stand in the pocket, but you can't because it's not blocked up. So then it's a matter of what do? 3 miss, outrun, make another miss, make the safety miss, and you're in the end zone. Now be careful with that trailer there. Almost get it knocked out too early. But this kind of thing we're talking about. Turn what? On 3rd and 10, this point in the game, a lot of quarterbacks, now you're coming back running 4th and 16 or 4th down and 15, trying to do something miraculous. And instead, the ball just ends up in the end zone. I mean, so here, what's going to happen right here? Look at this look. If somebody saw this and didn't know the result of the play, what would they say the result of the play is? What about now? Okay. Good job. Really good job here staying active by Booth, the back. Okay, and, now what? What's the result of the play? All right, now what's the result of the play? Right here. Heck of a job. I mean, it's just, it's got a potential to be really special. And what's, the presence of mind, too. I mean, you're talking about a kid who's playing high school football this time last year, and he's totally setting the guy up. I mean, he's calmly, very intentionally just setting him up. His angle right here, look at him. He knows what he's going to do here. And watch him bend it to the outside a little bit. I'm just setting you up just for that. It's really special. Yeah, so you see it from behind. So there's the first really, major bust. It's just, whoop, goes right around you. And now he's in your lap. And like I've always said, or any quarterback could tell you, pressure off the outside. I mean, that's one thing, whatever, you kind of expect it and you'll do stuff. Pressure right here like that, free blitzer, that's a whole different ball game. So then what are you going to do? It's pretty doggone incredible. And again, set him up. I think right here he knows what the setup is. Outside, come on, boop. Yep, broke the plane. Play this from earlier in the game. You kind of see it from behind what he's reading. He's going to read an unblocked defensive end right here, motioning away from sort of an overloaded formation to have 2 blockers out in front. And it turns into a big run up the field for Kamario. And this is what he gives you. A player like this gives you. There's some things you get that not everybody can give you. Here's what I mean by that. So overloaded, like the entire formation is here, including 2 tight ends to the wide side of the field. There are no receivers into the boundary, ball in the right hash. The only, eligible would be the back in some shape, form, or fashion. He's static, lined up on the line, and we're going to motion really fast, but time it so that you basically have 2 blockers, both leading you around the edge should you keep it, at the same time before defensively they have a chance to really react. Balanced front, 4-man, 2 in the box, there's 6. That's the corner out here. And you can tell he's trying to figure out, should I be over here? They help him out because you snap the ball with motion. So then when you snap it, now he's reading. Okay, so quarterback is reading this defensive end right here. And it is this. If he stays, gets upfield or stays, it's going to be a give to the back. That's what you want. Like if he takes himself out of the play without being blocked, let's give it here. However, if he flows down in with this zone that's, blocking it back this way, and he flows down in this way, then the quarterback's going to keep with lead blockers, and that's what happens. So watch him. Keep. Now, the end, who did go down inside and close that gap, he's now seeing it's a keep about as soon as you can see it and try to adjust. He's playing it. Put his foot down. He, sees back, doesn't have it's a keep. Now he's going to try to get back out there. And this is what you get. I mean, here's a player who, right here, and he's taking a really good angle. He's smart about it. He's taking a good angle. And there's a lot of us that have tried to play this position where even now, even though it's blocked and called right, he's going to get me. I mean, he's going to get there and make this play, but not with number one. And so once basically, again, it's an example of the kind of pressure that this kind of player, the options he can give you, the kind of pressure he can put on edge guys who are a lot of times sack guys, kind of pressure you put on them, where if it's 2 steps in the wrong direction, you beat because of his athletic ability. We're just diving, at the end, but that's not going to be enough.
Thanks for watching. I'd love to know what you think. Questions, comments, opinions, disagreements. Let me know in the comments. I'll check them out. All right. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.